My apprenticeship was in the creative sector. I was hired as an apprentice, but when my manager left, I was given her title and took on all of her responsibilities. My workload doubled. I was told I'd get a pay rise to entry level after I finished my apprenticeship. I had raised the issue of a pay rise to entry level salary repeatedly with my employer and the college, to no avail. Upon me leaving, they hired someone to fill the role on an £18,000 salary. I would not recommend apprenticeships, but instead would encourage paid internships.
With 90% of people that take apprenticeships leading to work or further training, and 89% of these being satisfied with their experience, it would seem that the apprenticeship is really sailing. But it's still seen by some as a lesser alternative to university. I want to find out exactly what people know about apprenticeships and how we can stop young people from being exploited by them. So thank you very much for joining us today, Tom. So first of all, we're going to start by talking about your report, The Great Training Robbery. Just start by telling us a little bit about your findings from that report.
I thought I'd take a look at what the government statistics are showing us, and actually since the levy came in a year ago, there's now fewer apprenticeships being created, and the quality of those apprenticeships was going down as well, and I think those two things are very worrying.
So it's been estimated that there's potentially £600 million being wasted per year that could be used for apprenticeships. What is happening with this?
A few years ago, the government said to employers all around the country, we want you to come forward and tell us what counts as a good apprenticeship. Now, some employers have done a really good job with that and designed some superb apprenticeships in construction, in engineering, in digital skills, in IT, and that's exactly what the government wanted them to do. The problem is that what some other employers have done is not so good. What they've done is taken the opportunity to just relabel some of the training courses they're already doing, which might only last a few weeks or a few months, but as long as they call it an apprenticeship, they can then start claiming hundreds of millions of pounds of government money to pay for those, and that's a bit of a concern because a young person, when they sign up, they just see the word apprenticeship, but it's actually quite hard for them to tell, is this a really high quality one or is this a really low quality one?
So why do you think that apprenticeships are sometimes seen as a lesser alternative to university?
Well, I think when people think of apprenticeships, they think of plumbers and electricians. They lasted for variable lengths of time. Critically, they didn't have that endpoint assessment. I don't think it's negative. As you rightly say, I think it's been seen as something that you do if you didn't do terribly well at school.
So do you think that schools need to have more information?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think the two key people that need to know more about this are parents and teachers. Great if young people do, but we know that parents and teachers have a heavy influence on their children. If, for instance, you were quite bright at school, got good A-level results, the automatic assumption would be that you're going to university. And that's not necessarily right for everybody. Similarly, it's not the right course of action in certain professions.
So did you know that you can do apprenticeships in things like law and finance now?
No, I didn't know that, no.
No, didn't know that.
No, I don't know that actually.
I did not know that, no.
So thank you very much for joining us today. Could you start by telling us a little bit about your apprenticeship?
So I'm doing a rotational degree apprenticeship programme. My apprenticeship entails me working as well as learning.
And what has your experience been like with apprenticeships?
Yeah, my experience with my apprenticeship has been phenomenal. It's been great, and like I can guarantee no one's paying me to say that. Like it's been so good. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned new skills. I feel like I've progressed as well. I have really enjoyed like the people that I've met. I've networked with various like-minded people and also some really senior stakeholders. I feel like I can conquer the world, if you know what I mean. So for me, my apprenticeship has been a great experience.
So what would you say are the 3 key points that made you decide to go down the apprenticeship route rather than university?
Progression, creating my own destinies, independence, and that whole earn whilst you learn.
It's clear that apprenticeships have a lot to offer, but more advice and support does need to be out there for young people to avoid falling into the traps of low quality apprenticeships.